We'll call the Carlisle Village Council meeting to order. Would everyone please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Bicknell,
Here.
Mr. Jewett,
Here.
Mr. Licklider,
Here.
Mr. McIntosh,
Here.
Mr. McEldowney,
Here.
Ms. Tankersley, Mayor Winkler.
Here. We have no minutes tonight for the second meeting, so we'll get those in January. Public forum. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to us? Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll close the public forum. Council reports. Mr. Bicknell.
I do not have anything at this time.
Okay.
Merry Christmas once again, and I did want to thank Mrs. Duffy and the maintenance crew for getting the Christmas tree lit for the Christmas tree lighting ceremony and testing it and make sure all the lights work. So thank you for that, and that's all I have this evening.
Okay. Mr. Licklider.
I've got a couple things. First of all, on November the 16th, actually I think it was November the 14th, I came to council and we were speaking of the proposed subdivision on Sunset. And we had a planning commission meeting on the 3rd of November. And at that time, associates came to us with a pre-plan of creating 5 large lots on Sunset. And they were asking for variances for those particular lots. So I made a suggestion that I would go over council with that request. Met with council. Concerns about setting precedent on the variances, concerns about safety of those particular people if they bought those lots. And so went back to, we had our 3rd meeting then on the 16th. Basically talked a little bit more about what we had discussed at council, but the resolution was that we discussed several things for those lots. Associates wanted not to hook up to the city water. They wanted not to do improvements for the streets and so forth, sidewalks and so forth on those lots. So as we sat and listened to those suggestions from associates, I was the chairman of the board that night, and I basically called for a recommendation from the planning commission to move it to council, and there was no motion made. And what that means is that if there's no motion made from the planning commission, then the resolution or the variance or request for variances failed. So we basically stopped that, and I honestly think that I don't think we've heard the last of that particular meeting. There's several things that associates can do if they wish. They can agree to take care of the water, they can agree to take care of the sewers and everything else and come back to us with another plan, and we can agree to the plan. But I wanted to close that off because we did have a meeting on that, and I just wanted to make sure that was kind of covered and closed, for planning commission. Now, as far as my other thing, I'd like to take a few minutes and bend an ear here. I'd like to thank the citizens of Carlisle for placing their trust in me as a council member 3 times in a row. So I was very privileged to be able to run and be elected 3 times to council. I'd like to say it's been a pleasure to serve with the current council. I can't say that about all councils. We went through some times while I was a member of council, and those are well forgotten, but I'd like to say that I really, has been a pleasure to serve with the council. The leadership of GEMS, I was also on the GEMS board. The Carlisle Police Department, the fire department, also the service department. So it's been a real good 10 years for me, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and I appreciated everybody's support at that time. I did want to say one thing. Ed Richter called me up. I don't know if it ever got in the paper, but Ed Richter called me up, and he said, he asked me why I was leaving. I said, well, a number of reasons that I didn't want to share with him, but he said, well, what do you think is the most important thing that you did in the last 10 years? And I gave him the standard political answer, well, we worked well with council and we did a lot of things to move Carlisle ahead and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But after I stopped and think about that, when you're asked a question like that, you can only dance so much. So, but I'd like to say one of the things that I think I'm very proud of is being a part of the group that appointed Julie Duffy as manager. Because I think that Julie is going to make and have more effect on Carlisle in her tenure than anything that I did in the last 10 years. So I just want to say thanks to everybody. Thank you, Julie. And thank everybody here. I appreciate your comments. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. McIntosh?
Well, I saved my comments for this meeting. I do want to thank Mr. Licklider. When I was voted in, there was 4 of us that came in. A few had been appointed and hung over, but for the most part, it was 4 brand new faces, which was a lot of turnover, and we were all green. So I appreciate the standard you set for us and the example that you set for us to follow, and how to do this job and what to consider, and all of your candid conversation and point of view, and I really appreciate that, and wish you the best, and hopefully we'll see you around. I would like to thank all staff and department heads for their hard work in 2017. It was a good year, another year under budget, another year of great services provided to our citizens. And I thank them for their hard work and look forward to 2018. Just a note for the rest of council. The first meeting in January, we always do our reorganizational meeting of boards and committees. So I encourage everyone to look through that. Ms. Duffy, if you have a free moment, send the vacancies out and how they sit right now, so everyone can look at that, so we're not sitting here twiddling our thumbs at that first meeting. Everybody have an idea of what they would like to serve, not serve, so we can make those appointments and get that handled quickly. Other than that, Merry Christmas, have a safe New Year. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McEldowney?
I covered Mr. Licklider in the first meeting, so thank you. We will, on Brad's behalf, we will look for your application for park board coming in.
Oh, yeah. That's going to happen.
And then Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and safe travels to everyone. And that's all.
Okay. Mrs. Tankersley?
I saved mine for the last meeting of the year. Thank you for your dedication, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Very much so. And I wanted to also thank Julie and everyone who was involved with getting the tree lighting organized. And I appreciate to be able to remember Justin in that way. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Okay, thank you. We'll close council report. We'll go to mayor's report. I did save back a couple things. First of all, I'd like to apologize for not being able to make the tree lighting. Occasionally you get stuck at work and you can't get away, and typically that don't happen with me. After having 40 years of seniority, I can usually decline that overtime, but at that particular night there was 3 of us there, and we had a pretty bad gas leak up on Wayne Avenue in Dayton, and that's where I was that night. So I apologize for not being able to be here. I thought a lot of Justin. He was a fine young man and wished I could have been here. I'm glad we have an audience tonight. You know, we do have 2 new faces up here on either side of me. Mrs. Duffy's not really new, but she's in a new position from finance director to city manager, and she is absolutely doing an outstanding job. Of course, she's been here in the city for a lot of years, and it's through her hard work and diligence in the finance office that we're in the position we're in today. And she's just doing a fantastic job. We got Mrs. Hart over here, who came in and took over as clerk, council clerk, and the manager secretary, and just hit the ground running. We've been blessed with being able to replace the people that left with the good people that we have. So we're very fortunate, and I appreciate everything they do. They wear many, many hats around here because we are so small, filling in different areas for other people, and we thank them for doing that. So that's all I have is the mayor's report. We'll move on to manager.
Thank you. Just wanted to, I did say my regards for Mr. Licklider till this moment, because there was always that chance that he may change his mind. I have had the distinct pleasure of working with Mr. Licklider since he got on council in various capacities, and I have learned a tremendous amount of knowledge in working with him. He challenges us all, especially myself, and asks a lot of questions about why, and that's an excellent question, and let's do some digging and find out. And I'm going to very much miss working with you, because you have challenged me in all the positions that I have, and hopefully it made me a little bit better as an employee to do that. I did want to thank the Carlisle Community Church for helping out with the tree lighting ceremony. They're formerly known as the New Jersey Presbyterian Church. They are as much part of the tradition as the tree itself, and they do that strictly out of the goodness and kindness of their heart. They provide all the goodies and the cocoa, and allows Santa a place to go and visit with the kids out of the way, and where it's not so cold, and we really, really appreciate their partnership. It was a little bit thrown together last minute, and they didn't even bat an eye and stepped up, and the cookies were phenomenal. If you did not go this year, definitely go out next year. It was wonderful. I did want to say thank you to this year on staff. We do have a lot of new people in a lot of positions. I could not even begin to get through a day without the hard work and the dedication of our staff. They are amazing to work with. I do appreciate the positive feedback from council tonight. If there's anything that you think that I'm doing well, it is completely because of the staff that we have. I know the moment that Brad asked about getting a list together of the boards and vacancies, Jenny was making a note to herself to do it. So staff makes me look really good, and if there's anything that I have done that has not been good, that is completely on me. I tell my kids all the time, it's okay to stumble and fall, but what is not okay is to not pick yourself up and try again. So this is not even a full year in this job, and I think I've stumbled and fallen more than I've gotten right the first time, but that's why we have a new day and council to help and staff to help me along. So thank you.
Thank you. We have no committee reports, no old business. Under new business, appointment to fill council vacancy effective January the 1st, 2018. Is there lost my train of thought. Is there a motion to appoint a new council member?
I would like to make a motion this evening to appoint Barb Tankersley to fill James Licklider's remainder of his term.
We have a motion for Mrs. Tankersley. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bicknell. Roll call.
Mr. McEldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Licklider?
Abstain.
Mr. Bignell?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mayor Winkler?
Yes. Congratulations, Mrs. Tankerly.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me.
We have no first readings, second readings, no executive sessions. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Mr. Lickliter, do we have a second?
Try to get
Second.
it from you.
Last day of your career.
I'll do my last one, right?
Roll call.
Mr. Lickliter,
Yes.
Ms. Tankersley,
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mr. Bicknell,
Yes.
Mr. McElDowney,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mayor Winkler.
Yes. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
We do have.